Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. My community, like many others, is bracing for the impact of the business-saving JobKeeper wage subsidy that ends this Saturday. Despite my advocacy and that of many in this place, the government has made it clear that the pandemic assistance measure will end. And the government is buoyed by recent economic indicators, but the devil is always in the detail, and in South Australia our unemployment rate is unacceptably high. And meanwhile, the funding subsidy for the COVID unemployed, the COVID assistance measure, is also coming to an end. The COVID supplement of $150 a fortnight will be gone next Wednesday. And in its place, a new rise, and I appreciate it's a permanent rise of $50 per fortnight, but that takes the base rate of JobKeeper to around $310 a week. Retail data shows it was the low-income households who supported our economy with extra spending during the restrictions. Ending both measures at the same time, I believe, is a very high-risk decision. The removal of the supplement will put the brakes on our economy by cutting the income of those who are most likely to spend, and this is going to have a huge impact on our small businesses. Just looking at the statistics in my electorate, 7,962 people received JobSeeker in Mayo last December, and 780 received youth allowance. Exactly a year ago, there were 4,572 people on JobKeeper and 474 on youth allowance. So that represents around a 75% increase for JobSeeker recipients and a 65% increase for the number of people on youth allowance. Not all of these people would have secured work in the first months of this year. Next week, many of those employees who are still on JobKeeper will need to transition to JobSeeker, but that's only if they're eligible. And the eligibility criteria has again restricted. And I'm concerned that the government's insistence on forcing the end of JobKeeper at the same time that it removes the coronavirus supplement will see a real contraction of our economy. And I think we're in for a very difficult landing. And when that happens, we have to ask ourselves, what was the point of the last year if we allow the wage subsidy to end prematurely and the businesses we are trying to save, if they fall at the very last hurdle? What was the point of it all? The announcement of the aviation relief package and ticket incentives for the tourism industry is welcome, but our visitor economy is much larger than airlines. In our community, these measures won't help the travel agents, the small tour operators and the boutique businesses that relied on international and interstate visitors. It's estimated the end of JobKeeper will have an impact on the future of some 400,000 jobs in travel, tourism and events. Some tourism businesses across Australia have seen an uplift in revenue from domestic visitors. However, many regional and remote tourism businesses that depend on international markets are in a very precarious situation. I've spoken to one chauffeur operator in my electorate who lost most of their business taking small group tours to the wineries when COVID hit. Now, they've attempted to diversify, but it doesn't cover their costs, including the loans and their high-end vehicles. There is also a business which used to organise festivals and entertainment events, and they will struggle to continue with restrictions still in place, as will the art galleries and hospitality venues that are still in recovery mode. It's been widely reported that Australians working in the arts industry have lost more than $25 million in income because of bushfires and the pandemic. Cinemas are also affected, and we have the wonderful Wallace Cinemas chain in South Australia and in my electorate of Mayo at Mount Barker. The combination of last year's lockdowns and studios delaying the release of A-list movies has significantly affected audience members, and this is an industry that's also hurting thanks to streaming services. More than 99% of the businesses in my electorate are small businesses. Construction makes up the highest proportion, but there are more than 1,000 businesses involved in the tourism, arts and recreational sectors. I'm very concerned that these specialist businesses will shed staff and possibly close down forever. If they lay off staff, they lose that expertise and that established relationships. Now, the government has made its position clear, but it is also a government, I believe, that can react quickly if situations change. If the economic situation rapidly deteriorates, the government needs to act so it doesn't undo all of the good work of JobKeeper and the $70 billion that the Australian taxpayer spent on that program.